In this video, we'll go over all the WoW news from the past week and try to compress it into a bite-sized video. The weekly event for this week is the best weekly event ever, which of course means it's Pet Battle Week. I'll have a link for some of the best pets to level first at the end of this video if you want to get started, as this is the best week to get started, and there's so little to do until the new expansion comes out in 2 weeks, so what better time to start pet battling? Also, the Archaeology bi-weekly is for this one item that used to give artifact power, but now only gives a trash item worth 50 gold, so totally not worth doing at all, unless you just want it for the achievement. In other bigger news, the new Warbringers video came out today, which is also the in-game cinematic for Sylvanas burning down Teldrassil. I'd suggest you go out and watch it for yourself, but basically, Sylvanas decided to burn it down after figuring out an occupation wouldn't actually make the Alliance give up, like she originally thought. So instead, she thought, hey, you know what? What if I just really piss off the Alliance instead? That way, I can take advantage of their anger instead. And it went over as well with the WoW community, about just as well as you'd think it would. Also, side note, you can finish the quest and get the mounts for the pre-patch now. There's only 4 quests to complete, 1 more if you're Alliance, so it's pretty quick, unlike last week. Today only, the Kirin Tavern Crawl micro holiday is taking place. For this event, you can just talk to the mage in Dalaran and she'll teleport you to a random bar in the world, along with everyone else. While there's a whole bunch of cosmetic stuff to click on, and then after a bit, you'll all be teleported to another bar. It's a fun little thing to just mess around with and to see places you probably hadn't seen in a while. Blizzard announced that they would be reducing the amount of XP needed to level up from levels 40 to 100. With the pre-patch, the hardest level range was the 60 to 80 bracket, as it took the longest to level through. Everything else was much quicker, with getting from levels 100 to 110 being almost a cakewalk in comparison. So now the 60 to 80 range has a 14% reduction in the XP needed to level, with the other levels from the 40 to 100 range having a slightly lower number. So now you should be able to level up a little bit easier, as they also nerfed the mobs from hitting too hard and having too much health. High Inquisitor Whitemane was announced as the new hero being added to HOTS. Seeing as she's a Warcraft character, I thought I'd mention it. So far, she's stated to play almost exactly like a Disc Priest in game, i.e. using atonement healing and not the bubble Disc Priest of old. In a surprising turn of events, Blizzard is actually planning to balance the 2 epic Battlegrounds. For those of you who don't know, Blizzard moved the 2 40-man Battlegrounds, Isle of Conquest and Alterac Valley, into their own queue, and called them Epic Battlegrounds. Both Battlegrounds heavily favor the Alliance, and I've made videos detailing why on my main channel if you want to know the full reasons why. But the issues with these 2 Battlegrounds have been there for literally years. A handful of expansions even, with Blizzard not bothering to do a thing about them. So it's nice to see them actually taking them seriously now. Probably because no Horde players were intentionally queuing up for them. And that's it for Warcraft news. Now on to weather with DevBot the WeatherBot. How's the weather out there today?
The only reason humans sleep is because the simulation running the planet doesn't have enough processing power to run all creatures at once.
Okay, and now for a video from a past creator who used to upload. This week we'll be taking a look at the Old God influence, my favorite machinima from this one YouTuber who was known as Kakio.
What is my purpose then, your 420 Highness?
Your purpose? One word. Dope.
Whoa. Show me the way. Hey assholes, why don't you pack your nerdiness away and get a real life? You are all just a bunch of sad virgins. Have you ever been outside before?
This video is great. You should really go watch the whole thing. I'll of course have it linked at the end of this video. And to end things off, for the Warcraft micro fact of this week's video, I'll play an audio file from one of my Patreon rewards, where I basically just read lore pages about obscure characters, and then talk about them for a bit. And today's Lore Master Tales will be on Sylvan Mistmantle. Originally from Silverpine Forest, he spent some time in Stormwind, but later became an instructor at the Moonbrook Schoolhouse, and also worked as a personal tutor. He eventually developed an indecent attraction to one of his students, a young woman named Tillua. Sylvan imagined a future with this girl, but her future groom was already arranged by her parents. Tillua gave Sylvan a begonia, and Sylvan interpreted this gesture as a romantic overture. However, Tillua clearly only saw Sylvan as her tutor. She compared him to an old uncle, which infuriated Sylvan and drove him to murder. It is unclear exactly what happened, but it was called a massacre by some of the people you talk to during your quest to uncover the legend of Sylvan. Sylvan seems to have butchered Tillua and her young groom-to-be with an axe, and quite possibly her entire family as well. In his notes, he claims that the blood he'd spilled paled in comparison to the tears he had shed. He then carefully hid the bodies and retreated back to his home northeast of Darkshire, and remained there until the darkness crept into Duskwood and consumed him. He now resides in Manor Mistmantle, lonely and mad, hungering for more revenge on any person who dares come near. Through unknown means, perhaps explained by sheer will to kill and live, Sylvan has become an undead revenant. In Cataclysm, the legend of Sylvan continues. Sylvan was slain by agents of Darkshire and buried on the grounds of Manor Mistmantle. Sylvan is revealed to have a brother, Tobias, who resided in Gilneas during the Civil War, and was afflicted by the Worgen curse. After fleeing Gilneas following its fall to the Forsaken, Tobias arrives in Darkshire seeking news of his brother, but finding the townspeople afraid to talk about it, telling him only that he was dead. After Clerk Daltrey, who aided in the original investigation of Sylvan's whereabouts, directs players to the portions of Sylvan's journal, which had taken and shredded by Feral Worgen during an attack on Darkshire's town hall. Tobias seeks to find out the truth of what happened, and turns to Madame Eva, who had begun the hunt for Sylvan years before. Using the Mistmantle family ring carried by Tobias, Sylvan had dropped a similar ring as proof of decease in the original quest. Madame Eva directs players back to the Manor Mistmantle, where Sylvan will rise from his grave, seeking revenge, and must be destroyed again. And with that, I'll see you all next week.